it'll be husband duties. So.
Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you to our first live chat for KS GunCom. And some of our guys aren't with us right now yet, so still trying to get them on board. While we're doing that, just want to do an introduction. I'm Lyle Cadell. Some of you have seen the hairy fairy face. But I'm the owner, or whatever you want to call it, of KS GunCom. And then the rest of these guys that are bumping in and out. There we go. I want them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about your channels or what you're doing, and then we'll get into our chat tonight, okay? So who wants to go first? Anybody?
I guess I'll go.
Go ahead.
William Turner. I'm the owner of Williams Gunworks out of Wichita, Kansas. I make stuff that's not stock. Best way to put it. I build custom guns, and I'm an instructor. Next.
Yeah. John, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm John with Crusader Arms channel.
Yes.
Yes. Just do kind of gun and gear reviews. Gotten into a little more of like the political side of stuff. But I don't know, nothing big, just kind of enjoying my hobby and sharing that hobby via YouTube.
And John is a brand new father.
Yeah, well, yeah, yes.
Third time over.
Third time, yeah.
Hey, let everybody know how much that newborn weighed.
10 pounds, 4 ounces.
Good night.
Wow.
That's heavier than mine.
So he's
Your poor wife.
Clint last night, when I texted him, Clint said she didn't give birth to a baby, she gave birth to a toddler.
She did.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. She's 5'2", my wife.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow, God bless her. Man.
She's a trooper.
Yeah. Russ? Actually, Mark.
Yeah, so Mark with Fit and Fire. I run a channel that focuses on guns and gear, and then I do a fitness element as well. Most of my fitness elements have transitioned from videos to posting stuff on my social media outlets like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So you can find me at Fit and Fire 78 on Instagram, Fit and Fire on Facebook, and Fit and Fire on Twitter as well. So there you go.
Awesome. Now, KS, why don't you go for us?
Sure. I'm KS Gun Guy, and I do similar videos to a lot of these guys here. Basically gun reviews for the most part, the occasional product of one sort or another, but pretty much just guns. I love to experience as many firearms as I possibly can and share that with anybody who will listen to me gab. And then we do these chats just like this every Wednesday night with my buddies Big Johnson, Guns and Gear, and 1776 or Bust, and we all just have a great time. It's an amazing community.
Awesome. Now, the last of who's here, I've just invited another guy in, but Dustin, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is Dustin Doherty. I'm the creative manager over at Fort Scott Munitions, based out of Fort Scott, Kansas. We make solid copper ammunition. So a lot of our social media stuff I run, as well as doing marketing related items too.
Awesome. We're still waiting on Derek Cox, who is he's actually he's an admin on our if you will, of KS GunCom. And he's, for whatever reason, he's having some technical difficulties. And then we're waiting on Ian from Mid-America Prep. But we'll wait for them and see what happens. Anyhow,
Well, I'm sitting here watching the chat at the same time, and it looks like Mid-America Prep's having some. He said he couldn't find the link.
yeah, I just sent it to him again.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Uh,
Well,
Lyle, what is the the YouTube page is?
Kansas Gun Community.
Okay.
So I know, KS, you were watching the chat. Well, do we have any questions right now?
No questions as of yet.
All right. Good. How many are in there, by the way?
We got 17 watching now.
Awesome. Cool. Glad you guys could join us. You know what we wanted to do after the introductions, and what I wanted to delve into, the hot button issue right now is that YouTube, of course, we went through the demonetization thing and all that type of stuff, and you guys have experienced that. Yes, watching firsthand. And yeah, do we have any questions right now? Whoa.
No questions as of yet.
I'm coming through somebody there.
Yeah, whoever's got their YouTube turned up.
Yeah, we're coming through. Anyhow, but now they're actually banning channels, and you guys probably know Military Arms Channel again got banned today, like 2 hours after he got reinstated. Hank Strange from the Hank Strange Situation, his channel did too as well, and there's others that are, and so. You know, the major question is, a lot of people are going to be asking is why, you know, and what's going on. And, what we do know is
communism.
What's that?
Communism.
No, what we do know is this: is that the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is widely known as a liberal organization and anti-gun, has been hired to be the watchers for YouTube. And they came out with a statement that, it was an accident that we got these channels. And it was an accident that we did this, and we'll fix it all. Well, we've hired these folks to do it.
Is that the article that came out, was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
There's been another one today, actually, as well.
Yeah, it was 6 hours ago.
Yeah. So
was it another one of those oops, our bad articles?
Yeah.
Nah, okay.
I think it really was an article that had YouTube caught with their pants down, to be frankly honest with you. The Southern Poverty Law Center is none of those three things. They may be from the South, but they don't represent the South. They are not lawyers, and they have nothing to do with poverty. So, as I will say, that it is a very much left-leaning liberal agenda, spearhead to basically silence dissension. If you don't agree with them, then obviously you need to be silenced, and it's pretty disheartening to see that article come out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. KS, can you tell us what happened to Centerfire?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this might have been about a month ago or so. Their channel was just stripped off of YouTube. They did not get any alert or notification. They were just simply removed. I don't know how often this happens. It's been a real bummer for them, of course. Now, they did not promote their channel like some of us try and do. I mean, they basically used YouTube as a housing for their videos, for their website and that sort of thing. So they've got alternatives, which is fine. But the fact remains, YouTube or somebody flagging them or whatever it happens to be was able to have them taken down pretty quickly and without any sort of notification or any way for Centerfire to come back and say, hey, let's fight this, or whatever the case may be. So it's just really unfortunate. We've seen that a couple of times. Now, aside from some of the bigger channels and a couple of stories like that, I haven't heard a whole lot. Now, some of us, I think, have experienced a little bit of demonetization on some random weird videos. I've had some on the older videos in the catalog, but it's really tough to say with absolute certainty exactly what's going on. I think time will tell. Do
you think that my disposition is that probably I mean, they're gonna come after everybody, you know, and start at the top, or if you will, and then kind of go down. And that was the thing that, and some of us have already talked before this video or before this chat about what's next. And in fact, Hank Strange and Reed Hendricks did on the Lifestyles of Locked and Loaded. They did a great chat. It was salty, okay. I'll tell you that up front. But they did a good chat in explaining it and of what's next and potentially what's next. And I encourage you to go look that up. I'll include the link in the description when I end up. But you know, it really could boil back down to, and this is just my conjecture, that we could boil back down to email lists and going retro, because Silicon Valley has really controlled the techno world, and you know, we've kind of let it go into their hands. And in fact, the Vero thing, by the way, who was I talking to about Vero?
I think it might have been me, Lyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, we chatted about it.
Yeah, I talked to both of you about it. When I got a call from him when I signed KS Guncom up, and it was from San Francisco. And so that perked my ears up. And then I began to look into it, and who knows, one of y'all know that the guy is, and I have no racist bone in my body, but the guy's Lebanese, has a Saudi background as well, and he's from California, and is running Vero. And I just, and what's your all's thoughts about Vero? We'll just put it that way. Anybody?
Oh, well,
I don't know. I think that you're you have to see if it has the ability to grow any legs, really. I don't like gun-based stuff out of California, though. I mean,
yeah.
Well, one of the things that I have seen on social media, on Instagram, I can't remember who posted it, but someone started linking Vero backwards through all the different investors and creators and so on and so forth. And the trail ended in Saudi Arabia. And one of the things that I'm very skeptical about, and this just may be the conspiracy theorist in me, but there is a very solid link between the Clintons and Saudi Arabia. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. I haven't signed up. I don't plan to sign up anytime soon. I don't know if I like the idea of a subscription-based social media platform that you have to pay. I like the idea that there's no ads on it, but if you are not part of the first 1 million people that are on it, then you're going to have to start paying for a subscription. So I guess it's just one of those things you just have to allow time to vet it out.
I think one of the biggest problems with something like that is when you've got a Neanderthal like YouTube in the room that really is, you know, one of the top search engines in the world, let alone has, I mean, who knows how many trillion whatever bytes or bits, or who knows how much data they've got out there in video data. For any other type of service, whether it be a VidMe that's I think gone now, or Vero, or any of these other ones, the idea that they'd be able to gain any traction and do anything to compete with YouTube, I think that'd be a real challenge. I mean, it's always possible, of course. Everybody, you know, competition's good. However, you know, YouTube is so ingrained in everybody's heads. I think it would be a real struggle for us to get legs on another platform at this time.
Agreed.
yeah, agreed.
Something that I thought of is, you know, yeah, there's these other platforms, but you know, we're not over here looking at cat videos. We're not over here looking at makeup tutorials. You know what I mean?
Well, some of us aren't looking at cat videos.
So I think it'd be beneficial just for the 2A community just to have our own space. You know what I mean? Away from the politics that the left are pushing, and away from all these Tide Pod eating people.
You know,
Good.
have you seen theguntube.com? Has anybody looked at that?
I was looking at that, and one of the things I was thinking about with that is, do you think that, I guess the beauty of YouTube as it stands right now is it's multifaceted. Whatever you want, you can find on YouTube. When you go to something so narrow and specific like the GunTube, do you think there's really a future in it, or do you think it's too narrow of a vision? You know what I mean? I mean, there's something great about having a large platform that services all sorts of things. It makes advertising easier. It makes revenue from ads, all that kind of stuff a lot easier. But when you get super selective with something, I don't know. I guess as the hobby side of it, and it was just to get the message out, I think something like the GunTube might be effective. But do you think there's much of a future in that as far as content creators supporting themselves with that? I know, like with the demonetization of YouTube, I don't make diddly squat on it, and I really didn't make anything before that. So these bigger channels, do you think they would be serviced by something very niche like the GunTube?
Well, the one thing that I was actually, John, you actually are the one that introduced this phrase to me, but it's going down the rabbit hole.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But when you get on YouTube, since everything is there, you have a tendency to stumble upon things on accident just by browsing through videos and stuff. And yeah, you go down the rabbit hole. People hop on YouTube and they sit there all night long and go from different channels to different channels, just watching stuff that pops up. When you do something like GunTube, it's very possible to do the same thing, sort of. Somebody that's watching a funny cat video isn't going to stumble upon shotgun videos.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Now, one thing about YouTube, they've been around long enough to have some reasonably successful algorithms, and by that I mean, if you're watching a video on a specific gun or from a specific channel, it's going to try very hard to link you to other videos of interest, and by and large, they do a pretty good job. And so some of these other outlets, I mean, I was on VidMe for a while, and I will tell you, I hated it. I thought the architecture of it was very difficult to understand. It wasn't very difficult to load a video necessarily, but to find other people's videos or related topics or anything, it's very challenging. And you're absolutely right. You could sit and watch YouTube all night long, and all you have to do is look at the recommendations and suggestions. And usually they've got it pretty dialed in, unless you're the kind of person that watches cat videos and gun videos, and then it's going to be a little bit more mixed up.
Well, one of the platforms that I was just turned on to by Gun Guy TV is Daily Motion. It's a platform that was launched exactly the same time as YouTube. It is based in the UK, and he has had zero issues with uploading anything there. He's never had any type of strikes put against him of the content that he's put up. He does get very, very small revenue off of the ads that he puts. He just put a video out to discuss that while he was reviewing the Glock 43. So I would recommend, if you guys don't know, the Gun Guy TV, go check him out and see what he has to say about Daily Motion. Something I would look into.
Mark?
Yes, he is. He is in California. San Diego area is where he is. And so I'm actually considering to look into Daily Motion, start uploading stuff there. The only one problem is if you want to replicate your channel onto Daily Motion, you have a set limit of videos that you can post in a single day. So,
and one of my things is, I know that all of y'all that are on YouTube, you invested a lot of money into, the whole process, whether it be, equipment, through time, through, ammo, through, purchasing guns. And then, like Fort Scott, I mean, you guys have invested, Ryan, and you guys have invested boatloads, to do that. And then all of a sudden you don't know the day or the hour, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When boom, you're going to get snatched.
Yep. And that makes it really hard to justify trying to put out all your media on one platform.
Yeah.
And me and Ryan talk a lot about this kind of stuff, and it's one of those things where it's we believe in, if you focus on one thing, you can excel really well at one thing. When you start putting your eggs in multiple baskets, so to speak, that's when you're least effective. But people can still see you and all that, but trying to monitor that many things, especially with, we're a fairly small company. We do everything in house, and for me and Lyle, you met Jonathan and Zach. Just a couple guys. We're trying to push everything out as much as we can. But really, as far as marketing for a company, for us, getting in front of as many people as possible. So YouTube being the obvious pick for that. And it's one of those things where it's difficult for us to pick, all right, let's move to this, let's move to that. Are we gonna withdraw videos from YouTube? Are we gonna put as much time into YouTube? Or are we gonna put as much time into, if we go to the Daily Motion route? It's just tough for the business side of that, I think.
Well, and think of it this way: if we all tried to go to a different platform, that means that people that spend time on YouTube watching other videos, like I watch car videos and movie trailers and stuff like that, that means that I have to go from YouTube and bounce to a whole nother app or product or website or whatever it is. And it's just, it takes away some of that convenience and some of that seamless knowledge of getting used to one place to go,
Mm-hmm.
We had the Gun Collective chime in. Really like to see that they're in the chat room. They said that a single platform venue will not succeed, and I kind of agree with them. You start getting people into a bubble, and I'm concerned to see how you can branch out. As much as people like or dislike James Yeager, his idea is to start a platform in which he's calling it Liberty TV. Yeah, Liberty TV. So the idea is you come and you post, and it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be gun content. It can be anything. So that's an idea. I don't know if it'll ever get off the ground, but he started a Fund Me campaign to get that going. So,
well, that's good though. That's steps in the right direction for us, I think.
Yep.
It doesn't do anyone any good just sitting still and letting things walk all over us.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also have to kind of chime in when it comes to a single venue platform is the fact that there needs to be some type. We can't get everybody into a single bubble. If we get everybody that's all like minds, then there's no way to grow. There's no way to take a objectional look at how things are happening inside the gun community, how things are happening outside the gun community, to have these conversations with people who are not very familiar with firearms, the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, gun safety, whatever the case may be. So, you see this in all facets of politics, where if you put yourself in a bubble, then you're going to have the same styles of thought, and you go nowhere. You get stagnant. So I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
Well, and we've seen these platforms before, again, that have tried to come up, these startup platforms, and several people have made some really good points out here. 1776 or bust is saying it doesn't have to be a single platform, but investing money to create a multi-platform, and Gun Collective saying that the NRA is not quite the right group to do that. They can't get their own crap together, let alone. I think we all agree.
True story.
Right. But the only problem is, again, and I go back to the Neanderthal in the room, YouTube, and Google. Remember, it all kind of stems from Google. It is very difficult for other platforms to run up against that, because YouTube is so ingrained in people's minds. I've got a buddy at work. She's got 2 young kids, and they love to watch other kids playing with toys on YouTube. And apparently that's a really big thing. And so, that is ingrained in our culture. right? I'll tell you what, you want to go viral, play with toys on YouTube, and you can make some serious money. Forget guns, just buy some Legos and put
It's a
together.
new play date.
Hey, Clint, you got to start stippling Legos.
I know.
Yeah.
Build Legos and stipple.
Along these lines, of the going out to a single source type or a different source, what you're saying, and we, KS and I talked about this earlier, yesterday or today or whenever it was, that, just like you're saying, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world.
Yep.
Now, what is the largest search engine in the world?
Google.
Who owns YouTube?
Google.
Who owns your phone?
Apple.
That's right. We won't hold it against you weirdos.
But of those of us who are Android guys, seriously, it's control. Silicon Valley has truly got it monopolized.
Yep.
And so thus that if you did go outside and made, Liber TV, or you made some other, independent, whatever it is, how are people going to find it? They're going to get into Google, and it's going to be on page 3. I'm telling you. So it really, really begs a call for the community to say, what are we going to do? And if tomorrow night, crap hits the fan type of thing. I hate to say it that way, but how are we going to reach out to people? Is it going to go back to magazines? And we need to. This is why I wanted to have this conversation, is to see maybe if we could, work through it a little bit and see down the road. Not tomorrow, but a way out. And I don't know if there is. I don't know anybody.
Well, the biggest thing, and what I continue to see 1776 say in the comment section, is we need to have a unified front. We need to have a unified organization, movement of 2A supporters that is going to keep our best interest in mind, and that's going to be difficult. It's difficult to do because we don't all agree, right? I think Glock is the best pistol ever, and I'm sure that there's a bazillion people that doesn't think that, right? I think that the 1911 is the best service pistol ever made, right? But there's a bazillion people that don't agree with that, right? So if we can't even agree with what type of guns are what we should carry or what we shouldn't carry, if the P320 is drop safe or not, how in the world are we going to organize? And I think that is probably one of the biggest challenges that we're going to have to overcome. If we can't overcome that, then we're going to continue to die through 1,000 cuts.
Well, look.
That is absolutely 100% true. One of the.
Go ahead,
John.
Well, I was going to say, not only that, we can't agree on, what's the best gun to carry for, your everyday carry, blah, 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 all that. Look at the current state of the gun community right now, where you have really lines getting drawn between who is really pro 2A and who is, just for FUDs and their over-under shotguns. You know what I mean? Because that's already getting divided. People are chewing people like me out for saying, you got to give some leeway. You can't be this strict. And I'm saying, the NRA has been stabbing us in the back for a long freaking time. I want to be able to go down to my hardware store and buy a machine gun. That's my view on it. So maybe I'm a little extreme. So if you can't even agree on shall not be infringed, and even at that core level, that's the hard part. Is within the liberty movement, everyone always wants to say, we got to come together, guys, we got to come together. But because everyone's convictions are so strong, a lot of times the big divides get created even amongst the group that is supposed to be so unified. So
in that thought,
we have way too much infighting within the industry itself. And it's not just on YouTube, on Dick's Sporting Goods. It's not all on YouTube. you know, to be honest with you, in my part of the industry, you have little retail stores that fight amongst each other. I mean, the amount of crap that gets talked between the two and the amount of stuff that gets made up is retarded.
Oh yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of times where I'll have somebody come to me and go, "Hey, did you hear about so and so?" Typically, my first response is, "Don't care. I just don't care." You know, you guys need to stop it. Could you imagine what the gun community as a whole could accomplish if we banded together for like a full week?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
quite a bit.
I mean, we would be a power that would be reckoned with. Nobody could do anything, but because we're too set in our ways, and some people have certain thoughts about some things, some people have certain thoughts about the other. We just can't get along. So, you know, it's kind of one of those deals.
We're humans
Go
and
ahead.
we disagree.
Do what, John?
We're human. We're human. We disagree. That's what we do.
Well, conservatives especially. Conservatives are very, you know, we're hard-headed. I mean, that's just kind of the way we are. We're kind of hard-headed. We all have our beliefs, and we're set in them. And I know I'm that way, and John, I know you're that way.
I want to ask Dustin something real quick. Dustin, you went to SHOT and you were there all those days.
Mm-hmm.
What was the spirit on the floor? I mean, really, what was the spirit amongst everybody?
Oh man. Well, I think just because it's such a big venue. Mainly, people are just shuffling around, looking. I literally look like zombies. Just oh hey, that's cool. Oh hey, that's cool. Until they find one thing that they like, then they go in, check it out. You know,
or until they see Lou Ferrigno and they freak out.
Yeah, hey, we got a picture with him. Super cool dude. He loves our stuff.
I heard it was a lot like an AR-15 clearance sale.
Yeah, it was crazy busy. Absolutely nuts. Did any of you guys go?
No.
No. Well,
yeah, I was there.
If you ever get the chance, I highly recommend you go. It is that's the first year that I've been, and it was quite the experience. But it's and you have all these booths, and you have all these. It's basically the new releases. What's the new tech? What's the new slide or whatever at Glock, or the new trigger they're putting on CZ. It's just a crazy amount of information from all these companies. And honestly, because it's so big, I think it's a little bit of overload for a lot of people. I talked to one guy that said he only goes for 2 companies. He just goes there, checks what their booth's out, and then he leaves. He doesn't even spend time for everyone else just because it wears him out. And it was, of course, he was an older guy, but it's just that's how crazy busy it is that these enthusiasts, they just want to go and get out.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, by the way.
Hey.
No,
baby.
What?
There you go. There you go.
A little marketing.
Yeah.
A little marketing for you there, baby.
John's
on your nose, Clint. No, hey,
I got them all over.
There you go.
Okay, you win.
I was stuffing my mags earlier today.
So do I.
Look at you guys, proud. I'm gonna have to tell Ryan.
So here's something, and I don't know if this is relevant or not, but I was talking the other day at church with somebody. We were just talking about the current affairs and the way things are going in the 2A community. And one of the things that we kind of touched on was, I said, you know, what's interesting with the 2A deal is we look at the Second Amendment, and we look at the gun community as a whole now, and how it's so, you know, so commercialized. Everybody's coming out, like you said, with SHOT, the latest, greatest tech. Yeah. Your coolest trigger, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff, gadgets, doodads, everything. When you look at the original, well, I shouldn't say the original, but when you look at back then, the Second Amendment, really, I mean, most of your gun guys had what? A musket, maybe 2 muskets, and maybe a pistol.
Melting their own ammo.
Yeah. You know, I mean, and it truly was, I have this gun for my life liberty, you know what I mean, and pursuit of happiness, because you're literally living a lot of times out in the woods. You're having to forage for your own food, kill wild animals, protect your family from dangerous game, and shoot bad people. You know, so it was a much more relevant deal. Whereas today we have the 2A community. I'm not saying we don't have that aspect anymore with defensive encounters with handguns and rifles, but it's like it's a two-pronged deal, because you have the defensive 2A side, and then you have the commercialized 2A side. I don't know. It's just kind of become an interesting, it's morphed into, I'm sure, more than what I'm speaking for them, what the founding fathers probably would have thought. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Their
yeah.
whole idea was, we want guys to be armed so that we have a militia, we've got people ready to fight and defend the country. We have that now, but we also have this just mania and hysteria of what's the latest, greatest thing coming out. So we're trying to fight for all the doodads, and then we're also trying to fight for the core. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, one of the things that one of the people that I follow is Steven Crowder with Louder and Crowder. You guys get a chance to
Dude,
watch him.
that guy is awesome.
He cracks me up. But he just recently did here in the last week a Change My Mind segment where I'm pro-gun, change my mind. And one of the things that he really harped on was the fact that we have to once and for all define what the amendments in the Constitution mean to me. If the First Amendment is absolute, and that we believe that the freedom of speech is an absolute God-given right to us, that we have the right to speak our minds without being silenced, then we also have to believe that the Second Amendment is a absolute God-given right. And until we can't get to that point as a nation, as a group of people, to understand that, then we're going to constantly have this fight. And that's one of the things that I really, really appreciated about Steven Crowder, is pointing out that if the First Amendment is absolute, then therefore the Second Amendment has to be absolute. And one of the things that came out of the town hall meeting in Florida was the fact an AP history teacher says, please define a well-regulated militia. And I really like Dana's response. A well-regulated militia is anyone from the ages of 18 to 60 or 64, whatever she said. And one of the things that I really like is that Oklahoma has it written into their state constitution that anyone from between those ages is part of the state militia, therefore granting them the absolute right to keep and bear arms and shall not be infringed. So, and that is something that people have to get into their mind, that this has to be an absolute, and if it's not, then we're doomed from the start.
I think people also forget that if we strip away the Second Amendment, what's it's really easy for people when they get their emotional heartstrings tugged on by some sort of tragic event or something like that. And I get it. I mean, I get why people get wrapped up in that sort of thing. I mean, I really do. But then if they go after the Second Amendment and say people can't have guns, and of course we all know, and several people have said this in the chat, bad guys are still going to have guns, right? Yeah. But if we strip that away, what's next? Because basically that opens up the doors to potentially stripping away other rights, whether it's the First Amendment, like Fit and Fire said, or whatever it happens to be. So it could be a snowball. Instead, we should be focusing on protecting all of our rights and the amendments and the things that the forefathers set forth, saying this is what's right for the country. And instead, let's fix the problems that are out there, and try and dial in on what's causing some of these tragic events, whether it's with guns or cars or whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the one of the part of the problems that you get even in the pro 2A community. That one of the first things you hear is, "I'm all for the Second Amendment, but," and that when people start off a conversation like that, the first thing I want to do is go, "Shut up." I mean, it's what you basically just said is not true. You don't believe in the Second Amendment if you put a "but" in there. But I mean, be honest. I mean, let's tell the truth here. The Second Amendment was designed exactly for what it is, to protect you, to protect the rest of the rights that you have. You know, if your First Amendment was ever impeded, the Second Amendment is there to enforce the First Amendment. That's the way the Bill of Rights was designed.
Yeah.
And if we give up that precious Second Amendment, you know, you said it right. You will lose the rest. It's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of we may lose them. No, you will lose them.
Hey guys, I want to stop and see. Did we lose Dustin, by the way? Dustin, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I just had to grab a laptop charger.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And Derek has come on board, I think.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Derek, are you there? Anyhow.
I heard him for a second. I don't see him. There's no video.
He's muted, I think.
Yeah, he's muted.
How about now?
Okay. There well, we heard you for a second.
There you go.
Okay,
You're good.
give me just a second. Apparently, I live in the boonies, all 15 miles outside of Olathe, Kansas.
Oh, well, yeah, that's way out there. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right.
That's a city, boys. I live in outside 30 minutes outside Manhattan in a little town of 700 people.
There you go.
So
Yeah, that should.
Derek, it's all those Yoko girls taking up the internets.
It probably is. I bet my wife's probably streaming something right now. Hang on just a second.
Uh-oh.
Hey, KS, do we have any questions coming in, by the way, or any good statements?
Well, I mean, there's some good conversation going on out here for sure. Just trying to kind of go through it all. It's getting a little bit quicker now. So,
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
How many people we got online?
We've got 27 watching right now. One thing that Patrick G said a moment ago, which I thought was interesting, he said, I think the gun community is a microcosm of society. We have the highly educated and uneducated in our midst, which I think is absolutely true. And this is the part that's very poignant. He said, so no more undereducated than society as a whole. So, you know, our community, our little microcosm, I love that word, it's exactly right. We are very representative of American society as a whole because we've got people from all walks of life, educational backgrounds, societal backgrounds, whatever you want to say. And I think, you know, probably to his point, we have the potential to do a lot of things. It's just a matter of, you know, getting our proverbial shit together and making it happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Any other good comments coming out of there?
Still running through them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the gun collective in 1776 is getting into a very intense conversation.
I was avoiding that.
I'm going to throw it out there, but that's good. It's good. We need people to really dissect what's going on, and it's okay to disagree. But I think as a community, that we also need to understand that we're in this fight together.
Yes.
If we want to keep our rights under how they are right now, or even improve them from where they are right now, we have to come together. And until that happens, you know,
you either join together or you will die separately.
Yeah. So okay, so go off of that though, and then pose that hypothetical because we say that, right? It sounds nice. We gotta come together, guys. We gotta do this together, you know. And then instantly someone goes, well, then why don't we just give them the bump stocks? And we go, good, and we instantly hit a roadblock. And you go, no, you can't do that. They're stupid in and of themselves, but that's not what it's about. And then the fight starts over again.
Well, and that comes back, to me, it comes back to that's a principle. You know, you got to agree on the principles, and the bedrock and the foundation of the Second Amendment. You know,
I think you guys brought up a good point earlier. You know, he was talking about how we clearly define that Second Amendment.
Yes.
You know, if you can clearly define that and we can all understand what that actually means, you know, maybe that's a good place to start. Or if somebody says, hey, why don't we just give them the bump stocks? Maybe with the counter to that shouldn't be, no, we shouldn't. The counter to that would be, well, why do you think that?
Right, exactly.
And then we all have a nice conversation. instead of getting into another AR versus AK debate, let's
AK all the way.
Right. Hey, that's all right. I like them both. I own them both. But, I think instead of starting another debate between each other, I can tell you, well, yeah, okay, cool. An AK is made for a different purpose than an AR. That's why I like both of them. Just like, okay, you may not like the idea of a bump stock. You may not see the value of it. And I personally don't either. But at the end of the day, what do we actually agree on and where can we come to a common ground?
Yep.
And, I actually had a conversation with somebody the other day about this, another internet troll. I shouldn't have engaged. But they said, oh, well,
say that at one point.
Yeah, right. They said, oh, man, bump stocks, yeah, those are stupid, and those aren't guaranteed by the Second Amendment. And I said, you've got a very valid point, because the Second Amendment, I shouldn't have to have a bump stock to simulate full auto fire. I should be allowed to own an automatic weapon.
Yep.
I mean, mic drop.
And then they blocked me, so I guess I won. But the point, I think that's a very good point. We look for concessions when we really don't need to. We just need to look for understanding with each other.
I read an article the other day that put it very poignantly, and I really loved it. And it was this, and I had posted it actually on the KS.com, and it said, I can't remember the title, something to the effect that the Second Amendment. Well, I'm not gonna bungle it up, but here's the thought. The thought is that the Second Amendment doesn't give you the right. It only says that you can't have it taken away.
Right, it guarantees it. It doesn't give you the right, it guarantees it.
Exactly. And if we would come to that understanding that inherently we have been given, and I think Mark said it earlier, that we have been inherently given by our Creator and have a natural born right to self-defense and to the right to keep and bear arms, period. Stop. Okay? Yeah. And the government, they didn't confer that on us. And in thus, the Second Amendment is there to help keep them back, and that's what the Constitution is. It's actually there is limitations on the government, not increase on government. If we could only come to that conclusion, and even, I mean, whether it's the dudes that want to shoot clays on the weekend, or the guys that want to go do G.I. Joe on the weekend, I don't care who you are. I really don't. I mean, I love y'all. That's why I run KS GunCom. That's why I want the community to be here, and to be one. If we could come together on that bedrock principle that we truly have been given a right, period, end stop.
Well, I think sometimes, Lyle, that we forget. I mean, I've seen many times when people respond about gun control, the first response is the Second Amendment. That's our right, done, stop, right? And I think a lot of us agree to that to a point, or in essence, or in theory, whatever it happens to be, and I do as well. However, I do feel like there has to be a little bit more to it than that. And the reason is, anytime you watch any good debate, there aren't very many out there anymore these days, but every once in a while you'll see a really good discussion where people feel very strongly one way, pro or con to a subject. And when they start saying, this is how it is done, and line in the sand, the conversation is done. Nothing can progress from there, right? So instead, I would love to see us come together and say, well, yes, the Second Amendment protects us, and that is a right, and that part is a hard stop. It is. However, let's focus on the real issues at hand. Is it the gun causing the problem?
Well, I agree there.
It's really not. It's not the gun causing the problem. Let's take a look at the things that are actually causing problems, whether it be social media or any number. I mean, we could go on for hours and hours about this, but let's redirect away from the scary looking sporting rifle that really is just simply a sporting rifle. It's a hunting rifle. That's all it is, right? It's not an assault rifle. Let's get away from all that and try and redirect things and try and retrain people's minds, especially people that aren't immersed in this stuff. I mean, when I have conversations, even with my parents, and they appreciate what I do, they know that I'm really into guns. They've never really been into it. It's not a big thing with them, but they're not against it. But sometimes we get into conversation because they'll come at me with something that really challenges me and challenges my beliefs in guns. And I have to think about it and think about a way to respond to them that doesn't just say Second Amendment done. Instead, it says, well, no, you're absolutely right. But here are, I think, some things that are really causing some of the problems out here that we have an opportunity as a country, pro 2A or not, we have an opportunity to come together and really start focusing on and maybe making an actual difference. So then people can relax a little bit and not worry about their kids going to school and being harmed and that sort of thing. And then we also get to enjoy our Second Amendment rights that are written out there that we should be able to enjoy and you know, have our thing that be a part of.
And one of the things that I am able to shut down most conversations against you know, anti-gun conversations is three things. Number one is, did Home Depot stop renting trucks after New York? That's number one. Number two, did you hear about the madman that went on the stabbing rampage in China, killing 22 people and injuring 130?
Yes.
Number three, did you hear about the 22 people that were injured in the high school in Pennsylvania last week? No, you didn't. And the reason why most people didn't is because it doesn't fit an agenda.
Right.
And until we get over this politicizing agenda, it's not going to stop. And that's what really frustrates me.
That's exactly it. Who was it talking about watching Louder with Crowder? Who was that? That was
me.
Mark. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that you notice is one of the questions that he asked, because he was in Texas. But one of the things that he asked is if any of the students had heard about the shooting at the church, and none of the kids had heard about it. They didn't know anything about it, and because it didn't fit the agenda, because the shooter was stopped by a good guy with an AR-15. Hey, John, you got a train outside your home.
Sorry, I'll mute my end.
And then, but you're right. It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the media's agenda to spread that out there, to put that out there. I mean, you had to find out about it by, you know, we found out about the killing, but I mean, it kind of abruptly ended like a day later. Just didn't hear anything about it. Well, that's because once the story came out, it didn't fit, so they just moved on.
Well, I think
whereas in Florida, I think you can go out here. I think I can go out here and turn on the 10 o'clock news tonight, and I can guarantee you there's going to be something about Florida on there still.
Right.
Well, I think the other thing that, you know, we're missing in a lot of these things is a lot of people don't dig into where their news comes from. They don't dig into who either owns or pushes these organizations. I mean, a lot of these things are backed by big money billionaires, the same 1% that are villainized. So I think that, yeah, you know, I think the other thing that we miss and that we're missing really is honest media that's not driven by just money, but is driven by actually wanting to report the actual story. And there's definitely a media bias, but is it a bias because they're united, or is it a bias because they own companies and can twist that agenda?
Yeah. KS is he's got to go because he's got to work in the morning.
Yeah, real life sets in.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
But you know, KS Gun Guy, give us all your information before you leave. Folks that are watching and they're going to watch later, give us all your information. You are a Kansas guy, and for your channel and whatever else you want to give us, man.
Well, sure. Yeah, the YouTube channel is just KS Gun Guy. It should be pretty easy to find. And then I'm on Facebook, KS Gun Guy as well. Instagram, I'm KS Gun Guy _official. Not because I'm cool, but there's actually another KS Gun Guy. That guy is a jerk, obviously, and took my name.
Prick.
I know, right? Anyways, hey, you guys, this has been an absolute blast. It's a pleasure to talk with all of you guys. I know some of you guys, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
Finn Fire is always a lot of pleasure. We've had him on the chats on Wednesday nights with us. So you guys keep this going. This was great, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Love to have you back, KS, man. I mean, all the best to you, and we'll stay in touch.
All right, absolutely, guys. Take care. Cheers, and yay,
Yes.
Amendment.
Have a good night, man.
Take care, buddy.
See ya.
Just to touch on, you know, go to another touchy area, and I do want to get back to the point of our conversation of digital media. But Mark from Fit and Fire, you served our country, and Derek, you served our country in the Marines.
Right on.
You guys, how does it make you feel when all this is going on in your country? The flag you fought for.
Derek, you go ahead. Yeah.
All right, man. I'll go. You know, I think you kind of got Lyle, you personally got a glimpse of that when I got to go to the State House with you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it really drives a passion in me to not only kind of fight the powers that be that really are doing some harm to our nation by trying to strip away those rights, but also to teach people and get them to understand. The part that I really wrote in one of the articles that I had put in the KC Star, I tried to get people to understand this is not a conservative issue. This is not just one side of the aisle. This is everybody's right. This is every color's right. This is every race's right.
Yeah.
This is, if you immigrate here, guess what? You just got a new set of sweet rights, and you get to carry guns and shoot around. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, who doesn't want to have the power over their own self-defense? And for me, you know, I really get frustrated with the argument, and I'm sure Mark can get along on with this, but I hate the argument that, oh, well, of course you can shoot, or of course you should be responsible because you served in the military, so you have all this training. That's not necessarily true. There are civilian shooters. I go and shoot precision rifle matches. There are civilian shooters that mop me all over the range. And even outside of competitions, there's plenty of tactical instructors out there that never served either, whether it was in law enforcement or military. Like, those things don't qualify you. And I think to pretend that that's the case and to use that as an argument against the Second Amendment is very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Totally agree. And, you know,
Derek, can I touch on that real quick, Derek?
Sure, William, go ahead.
One thing that one of your comments that you made about getting mopped by civilian shooters, one thing I've noticed as an instructor is that the civilian side does have a lot better shooters, it seems like.
Yeah.
Now how they would react under pressure, that'd be a different story. But that's actually a point that it seems to fall under that a lot of people will discount you a little bit in your opinion if you're not military or not law enforcement. But yet there's a lot of civilians out there that get outgun all
100%. And I don't think pressure. I mean, a lot of people ask that question. Man, there's guys in the military that fold under pressure all the time.
Actually, well, I mean, especially cops in Florida.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's a great example. We have four officers sitting outside of a school, folding under pressure when they could have done at least something. Even if they didn't stop anybody from dying, they could have rendered aid faster. They could have stopped the threat. I mean, there's a million scenarios that could have happened there.
Well, doesn't this also bridge off of the and it's not to knock military and law enforcement whatsoever, but it's that misinformation and part of educating people. You know, because a lot of times what you'll hear is, I think there was a quote that you say you're for gun control, you're not really for gun control, you're just for monopolizing all of the guns to one entity, which is the government, which we know is not trustworthy. Right?
Yeah, look at history.
You need someone to have the guns when you come to take the guns from everybody else. So you're not really for gun control. You just want to give it to one particular elite class.
Yeah.
And all too often you'll hear this argument is they'll say, well, you know, he's a cop, he should be able to carry a gun. That does not guarantee diddly squat.
No.
Same with like the military. It's like, well, you know, he knows what he's talking about. He was in the military. He may have been at a desk typing in the military. And there's nothing wrong with that job. It's just, it doesn't always equate to the Second Amendment, you know, in regards to shooting and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of that education deal is, like you said, there are lots of civilian shooters that are very capable, just as capable, if not more capable than some within law enforcement and military. That's a matter of educating the public because they have this line, so to speak, where they think that if you're a civilian, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You know, only law enforcement and military, you know, because law enforcement's trained. Well, a lot of small law enforcement agencies don't have the budget and the resources to train their officers. So all they do is they qualify once a year and shoot 60 rounds or something, you know?
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's an education deal.
And that's also rampant in the
I want to get back.
I mean, that is really rampant.
By the way,
sorry.
Give him a chance to talk, Mark.
Oh yeah, that's fine. Real quick, we got a question from the Gun Collective directed specifically to Dustin. Where can we buy Fort Scott munitions?
Hey. Well, we do have a storefront in Fort Scott, Kansas, and we have over I think about 600 plus dealers across almost all 50 states now. So if you go to fortscottmunitions.com, at the bottom of the page, there is a link for dealer locator. Go ahead and put in your address, and it'll give you the closest mom and pop shop, because that's all we sell to. And it'll give you the address to that store, and you can go in there and get yourself some ammo.
And if you use the promo code KSGuncom, you can get 10% off your order through fortscottmunitions.com. Is that right, Dustin?
That's true.
So,
Fort Scott Munitions, my friends.
You guys got 65 Creedmoor running around.
That was a great little commercial.
I knew that was coming.
Break it up.
So to get back to Lyle's question regarding the military, so I can't agree with Derek and William enough, because I had the ability to see two sides of the Army. First, I got to see the combat arms. When I first enlisted into the Army, I was on tanks. I got to deploy to Iraq as a tank gunner. So, it was, what makes the grass grow, blood, blood. So, so you had that instilled in you. And then I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to go to K-State and become an officer, get my commission as an ordnance officer, and see the logistics side of the Army, and understand how does the tankers and the infantry guys get their bullets and beans, which was a great experience. But I also learned that there is a completely other side of the Army that isn't as finely tuned as what a lot of people think, and to the point, and by no means am I bashing the military whatsoever. I have respect for the lowliest private, regardless if he's a supply clerk, all the way to the top generals. I love all of my veterans, active duty, and most of you know that I'm currently an Army wife. my wife is active duty at Fort Riley right now. She is actually overseas in Germany right now, which is pretty cool. But I digress. The point that I'm trying to get to is I got to see how the combat arms guys train and are prepared for the fight. Fight tonight is the motto. And then I've also seen the other side where the focus is preparing those war fighters for the fight. So they don't necessarily get the training that they should. So to lump all of the military or all the law enforcement or all of that into one pot and say, well, they should, I think does a disservice, because not all people are equal. Just in the civilian world, not all people are equal, especially for the individuals that are, carrying. Kansas is a constitutional carry state, and I support that 100%. However, I tell everybody, go get training.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what even if you don't carry every single day, you have that ability to. I encourage people to get training, because I feel that it is a responsibility for you to protect that right. And in these situations, like down in Florida or wherever, you get in a situation where someone is legally carrying a firearm and then makes a mistake and makes us all look bad. That's unacceptable. So my perspective from being in the military and now being a civilian is the fact that I honestly feel that lumping the military or law enforcement into a pot to say they know better, so they should be the ones that has the right. No, that is not. That is not where the Second Amendment comes from. That's not why we have it. And from a military perspective, I think that I wouldn't say all, but I would say that a lot of people feel that way. So, yeah.
I appreciate that, man. And Clint, you were going to say something before I redirected to Mark.
Say it again, Lyle. You kind of glitched out.
I said you were going to say something before I redirected to Mark.
Oh, I don't know. I've slept since then.
Okay.
I forgot. I don't know. It must not have been that important.
to kind of redirect our conversation back to digital media, what
Okay.
just go one by
Hey guys,
one.
hang on just a second. I'll go. You guys go ahead, but I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay, gotcha. One by one, beginning with John with Crusader Arms. I'm looking at you guys from a certain section here. John, what's your thought and what's your plan? A year from now.
Ooh, for me, I mean, realistically, it would be, I stepped away from my channel for I don't think it was quite a year, and that was mainly because I travel a lot for work, and so when I would come home, just the amount of time that I spent trying to get stuff together, go out to the range, film it, come up with an idea, and then film it, and then edit it and get it onto YouTube to then see something like 30 cents in revenue was difficult, and it was taking a lot of money. It was taking a lot of time, more importantly, from my family. So I kind of stepped away from it, backed off.
Yeah.
I'm doing it again now. And I guess I've kind of come to grips with the fact that I'm not going to make any money at it right now, unless I came up with some other brilliant idea. You know what I mean? Moving forward. So right now, I guess I'm using what's available, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I'm kind of just trying to do it to where I enjoy it, where it's not stressing me out, because it's not paying the bills. So priority is putting a roof and food on the table. And so right now, I guess I'm just taking advantage of what we've got, obviously looking for other avenues if they present themselves. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm the right one to, I don't know. Because I'm looking at it more on the side of, if I lost my channel, if I lost, all my avenues, my social media avenues, I don't know. It doesn't hurt me financially. In fact, I would be doing better financially if I were to get off of YouTube.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but then I do struggle with that deal of, I don't know, trying to be a voice. I don't want to say that in a pretentious manner, but trying to spread the message to people, and I don't know, share my experience and what little expertise I might have in the subject with other people. So I don't know. I guess I'm just keeping my eyes and ears open to potential avenues that might pop up in the future. But as far as income goes, unless I had a really, narrow focus on something and I really decided to hit it hard, as it is right now, it's kind of a means of sharing my hobby with those who want to watch my mad ramblings and my shenanigans. So
I appreciate it, man. Mark, where do you see yourself a year from now?
Oh goodness, I'm just trying to get through this week.
How old is your daughter, by the way? I can't remember.
She's 8. She's 8. So,
precious little girl.
Yeah, no, she's she's older than 8. She's 8 going on 18, in a good way. You know, we went to the store and I had to get some stuff for her lunches, and she came home and she put all the groceries away herself.
Wow.
Actually, when I was on the phone with you, Lyle, the other night. So
Wow.
anyway, no, in the next year, I'd just like to be able to get my channel a little bit larger to reach more people. The intent for me is to just be a sounding board to support the Second Amendment. I'd like to be able to get into a situation where I have some certifications to be able to start training. I've had a couple of people reach out to me to assist them in being introduced to firearms, not necessarily train them, but to at least give them a tutorial on which end is the bad end and which end is you hold it from. So that's kind of like the direction I would like to go to. I struggle at the moment on what other things I want to get into. Currently, I would say in the next month, and this is something I was going to pitch to all of you guys, is I'm not sure if you watch Never Enough Ammo.
Yeah.
I'm not a supporter of 100% of the things that he says, but one of the things that he has done here recently over the last couple of years is he started these campaigns to gather at the state capitals. And I was interested to get your guys' feedback in, is that something that we have done here recently, or is this something that we would like to do? I know there's some being planned around March 10th. Is that something we can organize and get that going?
There has been talk in Kansas Open Carry, which I used to be a part of. I helped run their social media. And there's others that have led those causes. There have been rallies in Topeka. So, and the Kansas State Rifle Association has worked with that as well. And now as far as me and KS GunCom, maybe I've dropped the ball. I've not, spearheaded that effort and kind of let that go into other people's hands, I guess. And I don't know of anything right now. Maybe somebody else. Is there somebody in the chat maybe knows of something that's coming up, or any of you guys?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, not that I'm knowing.
Now it seems like the Kansas 2A side is a little silent at the moment.
And I think one of the reasons why the Kansas side of it is so silent is because, and this is going to sound bad, and I apologize right off the bat here, but I think we're complacent.
I agree.
Don't be apologetic.
Absolutely.
We are a Constitution carry state, and we're like, it's not going to happen here, and we're Kansas, we're the free state. But if we do not, at least have a demonstration of support for our lawmakers to say, hey, look, we appreciate what you guys are doing. We appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to write this into our state constitution, and we want to hold you accountable for that on a regular basis, then it eventually will be repealed.
That's something I will. I used to be on the board with the Kansas State Rifle Association. Some of you may know that, and I'm open about that. I left actually a year ago to pursue other things, but they do a fabulous job in fighting in Topeka. I know many of the guys there. Travis Couture Lovelady, who is actually the NRA liaison for the state of Kansas, does a fabulous job in what he does. And Mariah Day, who runs the KSRA PAC. And so I can be in touch with them. These guys are friends of mine, so I can be in touch with some of them and see if they're doing anything. And maybe KS GunCom can pitch in there. So thank you for bringing that up, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and if there's anything that I can do as well, I'm doing the best I can to hold things together as it is right now with everything. But, I'm always, anybody that knows me knows that I'm always open to helping whomever, and I do it without anything in return. So that's just how I am.
To turn on the same issue, and then I want to turn to another one, and then we'll probably get to turning down for the night. But Dustin, with you guys as a business, and in the digital media realm, I mean, a year from now, this is Ryan. I mean, you guys are a pretty large business and have a lot of responsibilities there. Ryan does. He's the owner. Ryan Kraft is great guy, man. I love Ryan to death.
He is super cool.
And Robbie Forrester, and you got all the guys that are there. But I mean, what are you gonna do if social media shuts down? What's the next step? What do you see in a year?
Fortunately for us as a business, we have other routes to accommodate for sales and stuff like that. We have a sales team that goes out, every week, weekends. Mm-hmm. They're out constantly. They're going, from California to all the way to Maine. So really, it's not something in my personal opinion, that I think will affect us as much as it affects you guys. Running YouTube channels and stuff like that. But I mean, it will hit us, just like anything else. We live in an informational era, and so everything is on the web. If you have a question or you want to look up something, you're not going to a dictionary anymore. You're going to Google, and so yeah, it will affect us. I think Instagram and YouTube is by far our most popular for getting our word out there. I know that we've had great luck with Instagram. They have right now, currently, I feel like it's a really good two-way small community that's on that platform. But, we got tricks in our back pocket. We can always go back to older ways of marketing, mailers, email blasts, stuff like that. We don't have to rely on Facebook and YouTube.
That's good. I mean, I'm getting some reverb from somebody here, guys. It's coming back through. And that's, and one of the things that I pointed out, I think I talked to Dustin about it, and I talked to a local gun shop owner about it, in fact. And I said, you know what? I think the days of word of mouth and just the old school could come back.
Oh, yeah.
In a very, very short way.
I can attest to that. Lyle, you know where I work. I won't say where I work, but this company started out 30, I think we just came up on 30 years. They started out with a couple people making stuff out of their garage. We just built a 300-foot expansion off of the factory. We have over 450 employees. It's been a huge blessing. It's great. But one of the things that's really unique with this company that I work for is they don't spend money on advertising. And what they do is their warranty is pretty much ridiculous. We absolutely bend over backwards for the customer. And what that does is people talk about our product. For every good customer that we have, a good experience that they have with us, they tell us, because I go in customers' homes, they tell us, I am telling everybody about you guys. It's great. And I'll go into another customer's home and they'll say, we saw your stuff over at my neighbor's house, and they talked you guys up, and so we decided to do it in our house. So word of mouth is still a very, very powerful thing.
Yep. It's your top ROI out of everything still to this day.
Yep.
Who remembers the day of Shotgun News?
Yeah, buddy.
Me.
I do.
I remember
we're old, man.
6, 7, 8 years old, laying on my belly in the living room with my dad's Shotgun News wide open. And to be frankly honest, I didn't read anything. I just looked at the pictures.
The AK kits and the Uzi kits from back in the day.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Man, now you're making me feel old because I remember being in my 20s and buying that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
You guys probably had $50 SKSs too, so yeah, we know.
Two things before we really shut down here. I want the community to come together, and that's why I founded KS GunCom. Maybe in front of everybody in the world here, those of you that are on here, some ways we've already mentioned a rally here type of thing. There's some ways that we can come together. I know, with businesses, I want you guys to all give props to your businesses before we leave. I'm going to go down the line here, starting with Clint. Just one thing you think, hey, let's make the Kansas gun community bigger and better, and here's how we can do it, whether it's through digital media or whatever. One thing.
People need to keep an open mind.
Okay. John?
Need to keep an open mind.
Oh. Open mind.
Lost you.
John, go ahead. One thing.
I think I don't know. It's word of mouth, and it's talking to the people that local people, which I think what you did with KS GunCom is a great idea, and I think that's where it's really at. And that was one of the things that I didn't mention, I guess, in my intro, but when I started Crusader Arms channel, I was in contact with Lyle. Actually, I think before I even started my channel, were we in contact with each other?
I can't remember exactly.
I can't remember. Anyway, part of it that I said I wanted to do was I wanted to focus on Kansas companies. Being in Kansas, I wanted to see what Kansas had to offer for the 2A community. And so right after talking with Lyle, Lyle put me in contact with Clint down at Williams Gunworks. I went down to Williams Gunworks in Wichita. Clint converted me from a Smith & Wesson guy to a Glock guy. It got the whole ball rolling. And from there, it's like then I met Jason from TAC Lab. We have FTW Coatings. And we've got Fort Scott Munitions. We got all these great offerings that are in the state. And KS GunCom is a great way to kind of unify that, kind of centralize it. For some of these channels, I think like mine, even though I think I'm a small voice in this, I try to push those local companies because I don't know, I care about them because I'm from Kansas now. I was born and raised in Mississippi, but I've lived in Kansas since I was 15, and I almost feel like Kansas is more of my home now than Mississippi was. So I think it's really cool.
I'll attest to John pushing locals because I literally feel like I need to put him on the.
What's that?
We didn't get that, Clint.
I said I'll attest to John pushing the local business because at times I feel like I put him on the payroll.
So one thing, Mark, from you, what's one thing you think that we could make the Kansas gun community bigger and better and better?
I think I'm just going to have to reiterate the same thing that I've been saying most of the night, and that is for us to have a united front, to continue to support all of us together. We don't have to agree, but we do need to understand that we need to continue and push on as a united group and share everything. This is going to be so cliche, but we need to be a collective, and come together and support each other, regardless how that is. Regardless if it's me just saying, hey, Fort Scott Munitions rocks, you guys should check them out, or Williams Gunworks, go check them out. Whatever the case may be, even 10 seconds of your time to support other Kansas companies, I think is going to be a big push for us.
Good word, man.
Cool.
Dustin.
Well, I think in order for us to maintain that community, we need to exercise our rights. There's a lot of people with a gun that just sits in their closet. I'll be honest, before I started working for an ammunition company, that was me. But getting out there and exercising your rights, because once you stop doing that, that's when it goes away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Derek.
Well, I guess I missed the conversation earlier, so I might add something on the end of this. But I think my one thing for sure is we can't focus too much on, I think, just the middle of everything. We forget that we have very large firearm industry companies here, as well as smaller guys that make everything work. I mean, Fort Scott Munitions, I didn't know about you guys until I saw it in Kansas GunCom, until Lyle told me about it. But I knew who Athlon Optics was in Olathe, Kansas.
Yep.
I know who I know who the guys that make the Atlas bipods are down in Wichita. I mean, we've got some very big companies here that are real big, especially in the precision rifle realm, which if you haven't shot that, we have an awesome Kansas Precision Rifle Club. I'll give them a free plug. Awesome community, a great way to tie people together. But I think we are also missing out on another social media platform that we haven't really talked about. And I didn't hear you guys mention earlier, but it's Reddit. Reddit is all about freedom. I mean, love them, hate them. They're from San Francisco. That's where they're based out of. But there's tons of gun pages, and they don't block anybody's content.
Yep, that's a good mention.
That's something I'm foreign to. I know about Reddit, but I've never delved into it.
And I've been there. I mean, I've been in the social media business actually for 5 years, and I have not delved KS GunCom into it yet. So thanks, Derek. I mean, you and I are brothers, man. We've started this thing from the get-go.
I fell off the last few months, but yeah.
And we need to work on that, dude.
Yeah, I think the other thing that would be nice is just so you guys know, like you were talking about word of mouth. I think the other thing we underestimate is the value of visibility. The hat that Lyle's wearing right there, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that stuff when you go out to a match, or when you go out to the ranges, or when you go out and do any sort of anything in the community when it comes to the Second Amendment community, or in our case, the Fourth Amendment community in Kansas. You can push that stuff, and you can show people. Oh, they say, oh, who's Williams Gun Works? Oh, well, he's down in Wichita, and he'll melt your gun to pieces, and it's awesome.
I don't think this is the way it was supposed to go.
Like, if he makes an oops, he'll be good on it, but it's fine. Just take it.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
But, Derek, dude, I mean, like people say that they've accused me of being a paid shill for Fort Scott Munitions. I bought this hat with my own money.
You did.
When I was at their store.
Pretty awesome hat.
The flags behind me. Okay, there's two of them. Okay, that are produced by Copper Shot Creations, and they're out of Missouri actually, but they work with Fort Scott Munitions.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That came out of my pocket.
I think that's another good point. That
so
the community. One thing that the community needs to do as a whole is invest your time and invest your money into your Kansas community, because this community cares.
Yep.
And if that's not evident, go look at the rights that we all enjoy. We have constitutional carry. Now, granted, that should have happened anyways. We have constitutional carry. We've had concealed carry forever. We've got a suppressor company in the state of Kansas. Exercise the rights to own a suppressor. Buy it from them, because they're going to ship it to your doorstep. Because hey, welcome to awesome legalities. I think that is, to me, the one point for the community is invest.
By the way, we're going to be Chris Adolphson. I'm sorry, Chris, if you're listening, forgive me, please, for saying your name wrong. He owns Leviathan suppressors out of Newton. I'm hoping to get on with him and further. I mean, he's only been around 4 months. Is that right, Clint? Is it 4 months or so? Leviathan suppressors. Have they been around 4 months or so?
Oh, yeah, about that.
He came out of the machining, and aerospace industry. man, that's one to look at. I personally have bought a holster from Clint. Is that right?
Yeah.
He can't hear me. I have. I've bought a holster from Tac Labs, and I need to buy one from Cover 6 Gear out of Kansas City. You're right. I mean, we got to stand together and support one another, and that's very, very good points. Now, here's my final thing for the night. Maybe a little funner idea. What are each one of you carrying or have by you as a Freedom Seed dispenser? Starting with, let's go with Derek. Derek.
You wait your turn, Clint.
Since
you wait your turn.
I don't have video, I can't show it off. I've got a police trade-in Glock Gen 4. If you're looking for a good deal, buy the police trade-ins. It's been cut and stippled by 5B Gun Works down in Texas. I got on his bandwagon way long ago. Sorry, Clint, didn't know about you guys.
Shame on you, Derek. Shame.
Hey, man, I got another one I can send your way.
Hey, the guys at 5B do fantastic work. So,
and I got it when it was.
Use my name, and they'll give you 10% off.
Nice. So, if I'd had 10% off back then, I'd have saved even more. So it's a Glock 23 actually Gen 4. It's got a 9mm conversion barrel in it, and it's got a Streamlight TLR1 HL. Great light. If you need a good light on a budget, man, Streamlight is rock solid.
Gotcha. Rock on. Dustin, what do you have in the house, man? What do you have? What's your Freedom Seed dispenser?
I got my Remington 700.
Sweet Moses.
Surprised.
I
hope that's a Leviathan.
I grabbed that one just because I've been hunting coyotes for the past 3 weeks now, and
Silent
I've been having a lot of luck. So.
Nice.
And that's now Mark.
So I'm in my YouTube room, so I've got all of my shenanigans with me. To start off with, I've got my Glock 19 Gen 4 with the.
I think that needs a stipple job, man.
Yeah, it's pretty stock. I got the sights changed out and then a Zev trigger upgrade. I think it does need some upgrades to it. So I'm playing around with my winter EDC, which is the VP9 from H&K. And then on my channel, I just finished up my long-awaited accuracy testing of the Palmetto State Armory PA-10 Gen 2. So that's what I've got laying around right now.
Nice.
Yes. John, show us Durandal.
Of course. It has to be. So, this is Durandal, named after the sword of Roland. If this child that we just had been a boy, he was going to be named Roland. So anyway, it was a girl. So alas, maybe the next one. I've got my Tac Lab holster here, and this is a Gen 4 Glock 19.
Nice.
And Clint down at Williams Gunworks did all the stippling on it, reference cuts, all that goodness, and then they did the machining with the Cross of Jerusalem built into the slide per my logo, and it's got a Trijicon RMR on it. So yeah, and this is Spear Gold Dot. I love you, Fort Scott, and I've got all my other mags have Fort Scott in it. It's coming, all right, it's coming. This mag was still in, so
we'll get you. Yeah, we'll get you.
I'm coming. You cut me some slack.
I know you have a couple of boxes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
And I don't know. I mean, a guy wearing a Glock shirt who does stippling, what's he probably carrying?
Smith & Wesson.
It's a high point.
It's a high point? High point?
High point.
It's
okay. Oh, that's one of those Master Blasters, man. What do you got, an X300 on it or what, Glenn?
Okay, so it's a it's a Gen, and I'm glitching out here a little bit. I'm not sure why, but it's a Gen 4. All the framework done by me, slide work done by me. ARM, it's got an RMR, RM06, Surefire X300. Barrel's been coated in DLC, and then it's just got a Royal flat face trim work by, and about 8,000 rounds through it.
Well,
the last
guys,
year.
Yeah. I carry a Glock 19. It's a battle worn finish on a Glock 19 Gen 3. Doesn't have the job yet from I need to do an undercut. Clint, you need to do something here.
Send it.
So yeah. But no, that's what I carry. And I also brought another I did bring another toy to the game. A big black scary rifle.
Hey.
In the Marmalade rifle.
So, yes, I have an AR-15. I know, and but however, let me show you. And I'm not a paid shill.
There you go.
Fort Scott Munitions in there.
Very nice. Lyle, you have to hold the mag up in front of your face.
Oh yes.
So that we can only see your eyes when you do it.
Fort Scott.
We definitely appreciate the
love. Me, Lyle, and Clint, when I travel on the road, we're on conference calls freaking constantly. So we give each other crap all the time. But anyway.
Fort Scott Munitions, brother. I'll never live it
Holy
down.
crap!
Well, hey, I got to run here in a minute. My wife
has
some ice cream, and so
we all need to run. It's after 9:30. It's been awesome, guys.
Here's a question, real quick, before we go.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is this something that KS GunCom? Is this something that we can do? You know, I don't even know my time commitment wise, but that we could do as like a monthly deal, something we got to chat together. Whoever could join could hop in, and we could have a live session like this, maybe once a month.
Absolutely.
Sure, I'm game.
Yeah,
I'm game.
I mean, it could be a mixed bag because I know all of us would be busy and we couldn't always make it, but you know, it'd be something to shoot for.
Dustin, could you bring anybody else?
I'm sure Ryan would be ecstatic to get on here. You know him.
Oh yeah.
Full of conversation. He'd be a good one.
Derek, could we get you on here again?
Yeah, I'll have video next time, and Alex should
That's
be
what I was playing with you.
I would like to see if we could get the Shield Maiden on here.
Corinne Dozier.
Yes, I would.
Close personal friend of mine. Yes.
Yes, I would even give up my seat just to have her on because here we are like-minded individuals, but a lot of times we forget about the ladies out there, and
absolutely.
There are a ton of ladies who support the Second Amendment. I want to say, thank you to all of the ladies out there that also support the Second Amendment, and I would like to see a conversation from the other half's point of view.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. I can. I don't know. Some of you guys know my wife, and some of you don't. But my wife makes a living off of social media, and so if all I got to do is just tell her, "Hey, you're going to join in this conference call," and she's game. So just need to know when and where.
No, we can do it. I can set it up, and I'd be more than happy to. It just brings the community together, and even other guys too that like Ian wasn't able to join us tonight from Mid-America Prep. Great guy. I've known Ian for a few years now. I wish he could have made it. It just technology screwed up on us, but no, that we can do that. So let's look forward to doing that, and some of the other points too, the rally and some things too. I don't want these things to just kind of go by the wayside, so. That were spoken about. So if each and every one of you, I know WilliamsGunworks.com, you want to go check him out, or on Facebook at Williams Gunworks. Go check out Crusader Arms channel on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That's Crusader Arms channel. And then Fit and Fire is it's just Fit and Fire, and it's FITN Fire, Fit and Fire, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. And I tell you, if you do watch Mark, you'll probably wear yourself out watching his Instagram videos, man. In 1 minute, dude, you make me tired. All right, brother?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
You're awesome. You're awesome.
Thanks.
And Dustin, FortScottMunitions.com, and then as well as on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Did I miss anything? And Facebook.
Facebook, yep.
And Derek, where are we going to catch you at, man?
You guys can you guys can follow me on Instagram. I'm going to start trying to post more this year, especially trying to go to some more matches and things like that. I graduated college last year, started a new job, and it just tossed life around. So you can follow me at dcox, COX 0313, and you guys can find me on Instagram.
And last thing, guys, thank you so much for being a part, man. I'm humbled. I really am.
It was fun. It was fun.
And,
Thanks for organizing it, Lyle.
Yep.
Man, thank you so much. And those who have joined us, maybe that are not a part of our Facebook group, we are having a giveaway right now because it's our 1 year anniversary coming up in 2 days. KS GunCom will have existed for 1 year. And so for our 1 year anniversary, we're doing a giveaway. Williams Gunworks is in that. You got a $165 gift certificate there.
Nice.
And there's a bunch of other stuff because there's a video on our Facebook group, and it's KS GunCom, at KS GunCom. It's a closed group and membership only. We also have a landing page, a regular Facebook page, which is a Kansas Gun Community. You can see us there as well. However, the giveaway is going on the group, and we have hit 1,000 people. Man, it's just
milestones.
I'm truly humbled, guys. I really am. Wow. I mean, when Derek, you remember when we started this mess, man?
Yeah, it was a raggedy Facebook page, and we had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, and
I
now
want to tell everybody real quick though. I want to thank Lyle because he's basically been on his own for the last 8 or 9 months without me being able to help or do anything. And for him to be able to push this thing as far as it is, get as many people watching this thing, and then to get us all together still, and that's outstanding. Thank you.
Yep.
dude,
Thanks, Lyle.
Absolutely.
my pleasure.
Good job, Lyle.
My pleasure, man. And it's a pleasure to know you guys. I mean, every one of you. So, well, guys, thanks so much again. And you guys that have joined us via the live chat, how many are still on there, by the way? I can't see.
13, 15, something like that.
Yeah,
13. Yep.
13
Yep.
have struggled and hung on.
We appreciate every single one of them.
Yes, absolutely. Man, it's been a blast. It's been a blast. Guys, let's do it again. And for right now, go out there, be safe of all things. Please be safe and keep calm and carry on. There's all these little, cliches we can use, but be safe and take care. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
See you guys.